What if I told you that every single challenge that you're having in your business could be all summed up in one simple framework? Yes, whether it's database, client service, marketing, retention, nurturing. If you use this one framework in your real estate business, it'll be your lens into how to solve it for good. All right, friends, if that hook caught you, I'm going to tell you, this is not a tactic. This is not a trick. What we're going to cover today is something I'm calling a lens. This is a lens that once you learn it, understand it, will completely change how you grow your real estate business. So once again, welcome back to another Re-Education Experience podcast. We are now on, oh my goodness, episode 97. This is now, what are we now? 14 episodes into season 2, this rebooted podcast powered experience. So welcome back. This, again, as I coach, this is not about hype. This is not about just throwing random stuff at you. This is about building a career by design. And this is why I am doing this, not by default. So over the past few episodes, friends, we've talked about a few things. We've gone deep into lead generation, and I explored the core 4, if you remember it. And we talked about the different ways for which we can tell others about what we do. Tell others about what we do. We talked about one-to-one efforts and one-to-many methods. We talked about to people we know and people we don't. This was the core 4. And then the last episode, we talked about another quadrant system called the plus 4. Now this plus 4 was a little different. It was allowing others to tell people about what we do for us. These are called lead getters, and that is how we impact it. Today, we're going to, again, go through this framework series that I can teach you guys something incredibly important, that now that you're starting to get everything to solidify together and you're starting to see how this business can be simplified down into a few things, well, this one today is going to really help you, right? This one is a structure to support everything, not just lead generation. It's an overarching lens. And this is where today's topic comes in. So why does this matter? Well, most agents that I coach, they're not short on effort, right? They're not short on that brute force mentality. They're short on the word I've used often, which is clarity, right? They're short on that focused element. And I hope these 7 C's have helped you get there. I hope these frameworks have allowed you to bring it together. They know a lot of strategies, right? But they don't know how to think about their business as a whole, right? I know a lot of things, I've heard a lot of things, I've seen a lot of things, but how do I think about this all as a whole? So, and again, the story that tends to happen is you'll see agents that will go ahead and they'll make Instagram reels, once per week, right? Or once per day, right? Then they'll go door knocking the next, right? They'll do an email here and then they'll do a client event there. And it doesn't really feel like a core, operating system. And that's because they don't have it yet, right? They're taking a bunch of hows and strategies out there, but they're not rolling into something that they can audit, structure, and then grow in all areas of their business. That's how I see a core operating system. So let me repeat that again. A way to audit how you're doing, a way to structure what you're doing, and then how to decide which ways to grow. And this is what we're going to build today. This is something I call, and I've started to call it this term, the success triangle. And this is the core asset that we're going to build today. So if you know, again, a little bit about why we're talking about this, let me talk about what the success triangle is. It's made up of 3 business modalities. Modality is a big fancy word for like attack points, right? 3 business modalities that every realtor should intentionally develop in their business. So if I were to just think about this, I want you to visualize a triangle, okay? Now, this is some version of a equilateral triangle, meaning all sides are the same. That doesn't need to be the case, but it's just a visual. I want you to, if you're listening to this, just think of a simple triangle, okay? On the top, again, irrelevant to where you put this, I want you to think about the word traditional, okay? Now on another node, I want you to think about the word digital. And then I want the other side of the triangle, I want you to think of social, okay? This is the success triangle. Now let us unpack this, okay? And then we will talk about how this applies into all parts of your business. So a traditional thing, you guys, right? What would the word tradition mean? To me, it's kind of like the old school stuff. This is old school. Old stuff. Things like making phone calls, right? Pick up the phone, call. Sending mailers into your mailbox, right? This is something physical that we've had in North America for forever. Face-to-face conversations. Pop-bys, meaning I'm just going to go and see you and shake your hand and drop something off in real person. This could be like I am writing a handwritten note on a piece of paper. This could be also hosting something traditional, meaning like we gather traditionally. We get in person. It's not just Zoom calls or video recordings like this. Or I'll go out and door knock. I want to talk to somebody. I want to share a message, and I end up on a front door physically in front of somebody, warm or cold, okay? This is what real estate looked like, you guys. And this is how we could operate pre-internet. It was literally all in the traditional means. And it's still, today, that in person drives trust, it drives retention, it drives long-term referrals. Okay, but I don't want you to just think about this right now in terms of lead generation, because this operating system that we're going to talk about, the success triangle, is here to be that overarching lens for everything that you do. Now, this started for me actually as a mantra inside of teaching lead generation, but then it's expanded to be this go-to lens in how I look at all parts of my business. And that's why I wanted to bring this up to you guys. The second one, digital, of course, the word digital alone feels a bit less old school, doesn't it? It's now modern, right? And tech-driven communication, tech-driven ways to do anything. Again, if we're just going to think about it, we would email somebody digitally. We would video text somebody, right? We would text them, right? This is a new modern digital way to get something somewhere or to hear about something, right? CRM tools that we've got to support, tasks, scheduling, emails, support, things to do, reminders, notes, right? Where we used to not have something all in one that we could access from multiple points, our desktops, our phone, our watches, and things like this. An email newsletter, sending an email. Again, this is a modern tech still, you guys, where we didn't have this pre-internet. Text invites, right? YouTube as a hosting platform was digital. It wasn't social, it's digital. It's a format to get your video out, just like portions of this podcast. See, this is the infrastructure, right? The digital assets that we have is an infrastructure piece to manage and maintain our business. It's not flashy, but as you can imagine, it's incredibly essential. The third node is today's social, right? This is the content-driven creator model. Right, this is the content-driven asset that we have where we can share, and it's turned into a few things. And of course, we know it on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We use social to deliver anything, whether it's updates, behind-the-scenes assets, our own property marketing, our own thoughts, our own voice, community content. We do it on stories, we do it on reels, we do it on posts, we do it on carousels, we do it on lives. Right? Social for us, this node is to build reach and to allow for scale. And then of course, like we've talked in the past, we use this as well to create some one-on-one conversations as well. But social allows us to put our voice out and our value out in front of our sphere and in front of new people, but in a completely different way. So I wanted you to understand the nodes of the triangle, and we're going to further teach you how the nodes can work to be that central operating system for your business. A simple coaching story that I could repeat, and there's probably dozens of folks like this, and you might be one of them, right? The words from a lot of clients are, I'm doing everything, coach, but nothing's landing, right? Posting 5 times a week, might have a beautiful digital website, but not speaking to past clients in over a year because you're just posting, right? Forgot that, I used to run an email newsletter to get this message in the digital format. Doesn't do that personal outreach anymore. And the solution was we just started to think about the one problem she had. Remember I said at the beginning of this episode, a challenge. Every challenge we have in our business, if you drop the success triangle over top of it and look through that lens to see where am I falling short, you can imagine just that simple little scenario, right? We realized that everything was rolling in her social corner, right? But the traditional and the digital corners were just being left out of her current business. She kind of got caught in the social media trap. And once we figured that out, all we had to do was re-engage a few of the traditional pieces and a few of the traditional pieces into her world. And then this would allow her to now start to see the omnipresence of the success triangle start to work in her favor, right? The triangle realigned her entire business, and it wasn't very hard to decide where we needed to go with it. So let's talk about how we can use this in our business areas. Let me show you how it works, and we can go through this. Let's talk about a listing presentation, okay? Let's talk about a listing presentation. Traditional ways for which in a listing presentation that you would use it is you would ask yourself, well, do I have printed media in my presentation, right? Am I still printing flyers, right? Am I still doing placards? Am I doing additional info cards in the property, right? You would ask yourself, okay, am I losing listing appointments? And if so, is there a portion of traditional marketing in my listing pitch that I'm forgetting about, right? That I'm not using anymore? Traditional methods is the impact of the sign out front, right? It's the impact of an open house sign out front, the rider signs, the flyer box sheets that you use, right? The ways to get out and get your message through just sold and just listed cards and upcoming listing assets. When your listing presentation is light on traditional elements, you realize pretty quickly that you're missing a massive node to the success of your listings. You know, if you think of a listing presentation in the digital format now, right? You can send bomb messages out to your clients. You can send emails to your newsletter, right? You can do YouTube videos, or you realize, you know what, the digital format I'm ignoring because maybe all I'm ever doing is the traditional assets. And you're losing out on listing appointments because you forget the digital formats for which we can get our message to a market. And then you go one step further, which a lot of agents today, again, is heavily social driven, whether it's working or not. And they'll post a 30-second reel. They'll do a teaser video, but then the rest of the listing presentation is not rounded out with traditional methods, digital methods at the door, in front of real people. And it's just been strongly spoken about with social media. And you're wondering why you're not having strong success. Maybe in your listing presentation itself and your success rate, or maybe in your property marketing as a whole. Because if you just think about your listing presentation, where is the gap in my triangle? Use that lens and you'll find out pretty quickly where you need to put some resources. All right, if you get me there, how about database nurturing? Totally different bucket of things. It's not a marketing thing in front of clients. Traditionally, right, if you are database nurturing, are you sending anything traditionally anymore? Is there something showing up in their mailbox? Maybe it's a handwritten note once per year, right? Are you sending birthday cards that show up in their mailbox, anniversary cards, right? The question is, what is getting to somebody traditionally in your long-term nurture? And again, a lot of agents have just forgotten and don't want to spend the cash, but they realize that there's one part of their success node that is not working, right? Database nurturing, we oftentimes default to digital, don't we? But in your CRM, if you're driving online leads, if you're using CRM management, you're getting leads into there, right? You've got email opportunities within your CRM. You've got digital text that you can send, and you've got video text and bombs and things like this. So oftentimes when we think about database nurturing, this is okay, but then you're like, wow, I am not doing anything traditionally to nurture, and I am not doing anything on social because I've got these leads that came into the system, but I never go and find them on social. They don't have an opportunity to be nurtured by my ongoing content. And you realize pretty quickly in your nurture bucket that you may play hard with digital, but you forget about the other two nodes. So again, if we talk about social, right? If you are trying to nurture a database and all you're doing is email marketing and you're doing that newsletter that you've done all the time, and maybe you've done the anniversary gifts and the cards in the mail, but you realize, holy cow, my entire bucket in my CRM is not connected on my social media. I haven't gone and found those folks that I've done business with or I met at that party, and we're not connected on social media. And you can see, wow, there's a huge bucket of people that are in my world, maybe digitally, but they're not in my social media funnel, which means they don't get to see all the hard work you're putting into today's social tool set. And you can see again how the success triangle just sits right on top of that one problem. My nurture process is broken. I'm not converting like I thought I could. Throw this over top, think about which parts are missing, and go plug the gap. How about another one? Lead generation, right? Lead generation, traditionally, you might host an event. This could be a backyard barbecue, you guys. This could be in your farm area that you're working with. This could be for past clients. This could be for a new home buyers, builder seminars, right? Traditionally, when you're doing lead generation, I would ask yourself, if you feel like you're light and you're not getting enough new conversations, these are the real estate conversations, traditionally, what are you doing to go get them or make them come to you? Digitally, right? Digitally, when we're doing lead generation strategies, again, is that part of your elements? Or is it a part of the triangle that is missing, right? Automated search alerts, right? Welcome texts, conversions from online leads. Are you driving business through Facebook? Are you doing digital email lead capturing through your social media? Or is it dead in the water? Is there no strategy? And then, of course, socially, you guys, when it comes to lead generation, what are you doing? Are you posting things that could bring people into your world to create leads? Or has it only been a nurture play? Has it only been a content push, right? What are some solutions in your social and your digital where, like, if you audit your own conversations, like I told you, this would be an operating system, and find out where have they come from and where have they not? Because then you can decide which bucket of the triangles, which node is most applicable to your business. So tons and tons and tons of things. Even if we look at real world examples, you guys, like Apple, right? Apple's so techy, so online, but what do? They've got traditional in-person experiences at the Apple Store, the Genius Bar, right? You wouldn't think that a company that high tech would also play super hard in the traditional, right? People line up to touch these products in real life. Amazon, they're a digital machine, aren't they? They're all online, transactional, automated. But when you see the Amazon truck show up or drive by, you're seeing Prime, you're seeing Amazon all over the trucks, these traditional methods that make sure that you're still seeing it. And you realize, you know what? I could have ordered that toothbrush on Amazon, right? You didn't need to see them online to get their interest. Socially, right? Gymshark, one of these online gym companies, built $1 billion brand. They did it all from social. But is Gymshark a social business? No, it's an in-person traditional business that you would typically think bricks and mortar in one location, but yet they grew the whole thing via social. So I just want you to think about those as you're going through. A couple myths that when I talk to people about this, and what slants people away from filling the triangle up properly, is this. A lot of people think old school is dead, right? They think old school is over, but really good traditional touch points, I would say, in amongst the clutter out there, work better now than ever, because most agents abandon it, and a lot of people all across industries have abandoned it as well. Okay, myth number 2 would be social is all you need. Man, oh man, do you ever see this in the business? You've heard me share this theme a lot. We know that social can build awareness, and for some it can build a big reach because they're just really good at it. But without traditional and digital touch points, the funnel that you have, right, has to be more robust than just social for most of us, right? The other one is digital is overwhelming, because when you think CRM and management, you're like, damn, this is that techie. I'm not techie. I didn't grow up techie. I've avoided tech. And that concept of it's just too much comes up. And I believe, again, more and more, we need to understand why we use the digital tools, not explore how I can use all of the tool, right? It's not complicated, but unfortunately, it's under prioritized in our business. So then it continues to feel like a mountain I'll never climb. So when you build it right, these digital formats become the business engines that we truly want. All right. So as I'm coming to the end of this and sharing this triangle with you guys, and I want to leave you with, I guess, some inspiration around it, right? Again, I want you to think about this triangle. And I want you to think every time my business might be broken a little bit, every challenge that I might have, I want you to start with this question, which is just, where is my triangle out of balance? Simple enough. Where is my triangle out of balance? Is there something missing? Am I overusing one of the points of the triangle instead? And or am I ignoring others, right? Could one tweak of these, 1, 2, or 3, fix the whole thing, really put you back into skew, right? So this is the framework I start almost every audit with. with every client and then every challenge that I have. Like I said, it started as a way for which me to create listing presentations that really struck a chord with people to say I knew how to market, that I would do my traditional marketing, my social marketing, and my digital. And the blend of that was my secret sauce. But then it's expanded to now, because our world operates on these three mediums, that it actually has become an overarching lens for me in my business. So I hope this was super helpful. It's super simple and tactical. This will help you map out your business. And we're going to go deeper in Rome. Again, every Tuesday, 1 p.m. on the following of these drops, we talk about what we talk about in these shows. And I'd love for you to join us. You just got to go to reeducation.school. It's free for everybody. I don't sell nothing. And to be honest, not enough of you are taking advantage of the opportunity. The downloads versus people in Rome. I would love to see more of you because I want you to know which part of the triangle you're neglecting for your business. And I want to help you get through this. So I will see you guys on the insides. And I want you guys to know that the success triangle is not just a tip. It's a system. It's an operating system in your business. It's not the sexiest part of the business, but it should be one that's really easy to remember, right? And just think about, this is my new operating system, the thing that's going to make all parts of my challenges a little bit smoother as long as I give it some attention. So I'd love to do this because we stop playing whack-a-mole with random strategies. Let's build structure into every part and every challenge. And it starts here with the triangle. Once again, thank you for listening to another re-education experience, and I will see you on the next one or Inside Rome.